What if I told you that the world's most anticipated temple was not built in decades, but its final construction happened in a time frame that defied all modern engineering logic? Where ancient architectural wisdom met 21st century precision, where 3,000 artisans worked day and night, not for salary, but for devotion, where every single stone was placed with prayers that echoed through centuries of waiting. Is this merely a temple construction, or the culmination of a 500-year-old dream that united an entire nation? Let us today discover the complete story of how Ayodhya's Ram Mandir became the world's largest religious construction in just 58 days. January 22nd, 2024. The morning air in Ayodhya was unlike any other morning in the last 5 centuries. The Saryu River flowed with the same rhythm it had for millennia, but today its banks were witness to something extraordinary. Over 2 lakh devotees had gathered, their eyes fixed on a single point. The chanting of Ram Dhun filled every corner of the ancient city. As Prime Minister Narendra Modi walked toward the Sanctum Sanctorum, carrying the sacred idol of Ram Lalla, the entire nation held its breath. This was not just the consecration of a temple. This was the end of a wait that had spanned generations. But how did this magnificent structure, this architectural marvel, come into existence? The answer lies in an incredible 58-day journey that rewrote the rules of modern construction. Let us go back to understand why this temple is not just any temple. The story begins not in 2020 or 2024, but centuries ago. Ayodhya, the birthplace of Lord Ram, has been the center of faith for millions of Hindus across the world. According to ancient texts and archaeological evidence, a grand temple stood at the exact spot where Lord Ram was born. But in 1528, during the reign of Mughal Emperor Babur, this temple was demolished and a structure called Babri Masjid was built in its place. For 500 years, this remained a wound in the hearts of millions. Multiple movements, countless sacrifices, and finally, a historic Supreme Court verdict in 2019 paved the way for the construction of the Ram Mandir. But the real challenge was just beginning. When the Sri Ram Janmabhoomi Tirth Kshetra Trust was formed to oversee the construction, they faced a question that seemed impossible to answer. How do you build a temple that honors 5 centuries of faith? How do you create a structure that stands not just for decades, but for thousands of years? The answer came from an unexpected source. The trust decided to abandon modern construction techniques entirely. No steel, no iron, no cement. Instead, they chose to follow the ancient Nagara style of temple architecture, specifically the principles laid out in the Shilpa Shastra, texts written thousands of years ago. This decision would make the Ram Mandir unique among all modern large-scale constructions in the world. The temple was designed to be 360 feet long, 235 feet wide, and 161 feet high. It would have 3 floors, 392 pillars, and 44 doors. Every single element would be made of pink sandstone, sourced from Bansi Paharpur in Rajasthan. But here is where the 58-day miracle begins. While the overall construction of the temple complex took years, the final assembly of the main structure, the installation of the shikara, the placement of the Sanctum Sanctorum, all of this happened in an unbelievable 58-day period leading up to the consecration. How was this possible? The secret lay in a construction technique that modern engineers are still studying. Instead of building the temple from bottom to top in a linear fashion, the artisans used a method called prefabrication, combined with ancient interlocking techniques. Every stone, every pillar, every decorative element was carved with such precision that they fit together like pieces of a divine puzzle. No mortar, no adhesive, just stone on stone, held together by gravity, geometry, and centuries of architectural wisdom. Teams of sculptors worked simultaneously in Rajasthan, carving stones according to precise measurements. Each stone was numbered, mapped, and then transported to Ayodhya, where master craftsmen assembled them with breathtaking speed and accuracy. Let me give you numbers that will make your mind spin. Over 3,000 artisans worked on this project. More than 2 lakh cubic feet of pink sandstone was used. The foundation alone goes 40 feet deep, built on a scientifically designed plinth that can withstand earthquakes measuring up to magnitude 8 on the Richter scale. The pillars of the temple are not just structural elements, they are canvases of devotion. Each pillar is intricately carved with scenes from the Ramayana, depictions of various avatars of Lord Vishnu, and symbols from Hindu cosmology. The level of detail is so extraordinary that experts estimate each pillar took between 60 to 90 days to complete. But the real engineering marvel is the Shikara, the towering spire that crowns the temple. Standing at 161 feet, this Shikara is designed in the traditional curved style that has defined North Indian temple architecture for over a millennium. But unlike ancient Shikaras that took decades to build, the Ram Mandir Shikara was assembled in record time. How? Through a combination of modular construction and the sheer dedication of workers who treated every moment as an act of devotion. Many artisans worked 16 to 18-hour days, not because they were forced, but because they believed they were participating in a once-in-a-lifetime sacred project. Now comes the most fascinating part. The 58-day countdown to the consecration was not just about physical construction. It was a spiritual race against time. The trust had committed to a specific date for the Pran Pratishta, the ritual of consecrating the deity. This date was chosen based on astrological calculations by some of the most learned scholars in India. Missing this date was not an option. It would mean waiting months or even years for the next auspicious moment. The pressure was immense. Weather conditions, material delivery, worker coordination, every single variable had to align perfectly. And align they did. Day after day, stone after stone, the temple rose. Devotees who visited the site during those 58 days described it as watching a divine miracle unfold. The sound of chisels on stone created a rhythm that echoed the ancient mantras being chanted in the nearby temporary shrine. Workers often said they felt a presence guiding their hands, ensuring every cut was perfect, every placement was precise. Skeptics might dismiss this as emotion, but the results speak for themselves. In 58 days, what typically takes years was accomplished with a level of perfection that has left architects and engineers worldwide amazed. The design of the temple incorporates elements that make it not just a place of worship, but a masterpiece of sustainable architecture. The entire structure is designed to remain cool even in Ayodhya's intense summer heat, thanks to the thermal properties of the pink sandstone and the strategic placement of openings that create natural air circulation. The acoustic design ensures that mantras chanted in the Sanctum Sanctorum can be heard clearly throughout the main hall without any electronic amplification. Every aspect, from the slope of the steps to the angle of the pillars, follows principles that have been tested and refined over thousands of years. Let us talk about the stones themselves. The pink sandstone of Bansi Paharpur is not just beautiful, it is incredibly durable. Temples built with this stone over 800 years ago still stand today with minimal erosion. But selecting the right stones required expertise passed down through generations. Master craftsmen would tap each stone block, listening to the sound it made. A clear ring indicated a flawless stone. A dull thud revealed internal cracks or weaknesses. Thousands of stone blocks were rejected because they did not meet the stringent quality standards. Only the best made it into the temple. The pillars deserve special attention because they tell stories within stories. The main hall alone has 160 pillars, each one unique. Some depict the entire Ramayana, from Ram's birth to his coronation. Others show the 10 avatars of Vishnu in intricate detail. Still others feature geometric patterns that are mathematically precise, showcasing the advanced understanding of mathematics in ancient Indian architecture. When sunlight passes through the temple at different times of day, it illuminates different pillars, creating a natural spotlight effect that was entirely planned using ancient astronomical calculations. Now, why 58 days specifically? This number is not arbitrary. According to the trust and the engineers, 58 days was the minimum time required to complete the final sacred elements of the temple after years of preparatory work. The foundation, the plinth, the lower structures, all of this had been completed over the previous years. But the upper sanctum, the placement of the murti, the final assembly of the shikara, These had to be done in a continuous, sacred period leading directly to the consecration. The number also has astronomical significance, aligning with certain lunar cycles considered auspicious for such monumental spiritual work. The logistics of this 58-day sprint were mind-boggling. Over 500 trucks transported materials daily. A temporary railway siding was created to handle the massive influx of stone blocks. Food and accommodation for thousands of workers had to be managed. Medical facilities were set up on site because no delays could be afforded due to health issues. A dedicated team of engineers used drones and laser measurement tools to ensure that every element was placed with millimeter precision, despite following ancient construction techniques. This marriage of ancient wisdom and modern technology is what made the impossible possible. There were moments when it seemed the deadline might not be met. During one particularly challenging week, heavy rains threatened to halt work. But the artisans, displaying the kind of dedication that defined this entire project, worked through the rain, protecting the stones with temporary shelters while continuing their intricate carvings. Another challenge came when a critical shipment of specially carved stones was delayed due to a transportation strike. The trust arranged for an emergency airlift of these stones, marking perhaps the first time in history that temple components were flown by cargo aircraft. The consecration ceremony itself on January 22, 2024, was the culmination of not just 58 days, but 500 years of longing. As the idol of Ram Lalla was installed in the Sanctum Sanctorum, millions watching across the world felt a collective sense of completion. The temple that stands today in Ayodhya is designed to last not for centuries, but for millennia. Engineers have calculated that with proper maintenance, this structure can stand for over 1,000 years, potentially becoming as ancient and revered as the temples of Khajuraho or Konark. What makes the Ram Mandir truly the world's largest religious construction is not just its physical dimensions, though those are impressive enough. It is the scale of faith it represents, the number of people whose prayers and contributions made it possible, and the revival of architectural techniques that the modern world had nearly forgotten. Construction companies from across the globe have sent teams to study the Ram Mandir, trying to understand how ancient methods achieved what modern engineering thought impossible. The temple has already become a major pilgrimage site, with estimates suggesting that over 10 crore devotees will visit annually. The economic impact on Ayodhya has been transformative. New roads, a modernized airport, improved railway connectivity, and countless hotels and facilities have emerged. But beyond economics, the temple represents something deeper. It is a symbol of cultural continuity, a bridge between ancient India and modern India, proof that faith and determination can overcome seemingly insurmountable obstacles. The 58-day journey of the Ram Mandir's final construction will be studied in architecture schools, discussed in engineering seminars, and remembered in the hearts of believers as a modern miracle. It proved that when skill meets devotion, when ancient wisdom meets modern precision, and when an entire nation unites behind a single vision, the impossible becomes inevitable. The temple stands today not just as a place of worship, but as a testament to human capability, cultural resilience, and the timeless power of faith. This is how Ayodhya's Ram Mandir became the world's largest religious construction, a story that will inspire generations to come.